Hello, Frisco. This is Siddha Kanthi, the founder of the FriscoPollenFree initiative, and today I'm being joined by a very special guest, Aakash Shah, the co-founder and CEO of Wyndly, an innovative at-home allergy relief and treatment company. Now, today we're going to be talking about everything related to pollen allergies. And without further ado, Akash, I would like to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and try to talk about how you came to Wyndly.
Thanks so much for that intro, Siddha. Thanks for having me on also. Yeah, I'm the CEO of Wyndly, and what we do is we're fixing allergies permanently. And we're starting with pollen allergies, which is why you're talking to me. The way we do this is by giving our patients personalized treatment plans. And in these treatment plans, we're actually exposing these patients to what they're allergic to, and it actually changes their body so it's no longer allergic and stops having allergic reactions to pollen or cats or dust. Yeah, this is a treatment that's been out in the world for years. We're growing pretty fast, and I'm always happy to tell more people about the life they can live without allergies.
So, speaking about pollen allergies, how exactly do they work and why do they affect so many people?
Yeah. So basically, the way an allergy works, we're going to focus on the ones that you breathe in, right? So pollen, pets, and dust. The way an allergy works is this is a foreign substance which is exposed to your body and it enters a lot of times your airway, right? So you breathe it in or something like that. And your body thinks that, oh no, this is a foreign invader, even though it is completely harmless. And then your body goes into overdrive to literally try and flush out or get rid of this invader. So it's a immune system response to try and get rid of these allergens or these allergy triggers. And that's what pollen is, right? So pollen is an allergy trigger. It comes into our world from plants, and then it gets into your face when you go outside on a beautiful spring day. Or if you're in Texas, you get hit by cedar fever in December, January, and February. So um, that increase in pollen that's around during that time, your body is exposed to it, and people's bodies might say, oh, I can't handle this, I need to go into overdrive, and I need to experience allergy symptoms.
Right. So, with that being said, I know you talked a bit about the seasonal changes, but I was just wondering, since Dallas is the fourth worst metropolitan area according to the AAFA in terms of pollen allergies, why are pollen allergies so bad in urban and suburban areas?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the biggest driver of allergies recently is just that it's getting warmer, and we have had shifts in how we as humans are living that's kind of reducing the amount of time that we're spending outside, right? So basically, our bodies are just being exposed to so much more allergy trigger than it was before, and we're not building this uh, tolerance that we used to when we were younger, because people are spending more times indoors in air conditioning, in cars, and that type of stuff. So we've seen a huge increase in allergies, in pollen and pet allergies, especially over the last 20 years, and expected to increase again over the next 20 years, right? So soon it's going to be like 1 in 3 people are going to have significant, uh, significant allergies.
Wow.
So with that being the case, what you really see is along with like these long-term trends of people moving inside and just not being exposed to as much, we're also seeing that as it's getting warmer, as we continue to burn fossil fuels, there's literally more stuff in the air. So there's more stuff in the air from maybe the cars that are driving around you or something along that lines. And my co-founder is in Denver, and they get wildfires there, so there'll be smoke in the air from the wildfires, and there'll even be more pollen in the air because when it's warmer, plants will have longer flowering seasons, right? So
Mhm.
there'll just be more time for them to continue putting pollen out into the air.
Okay. So with that being said, obviously it's getting worse and we're not having as much exposure to build resistance. So what are some common remedies for pollen allergies and how effective are they currently?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would always suggest, and this is not medical advice, you can see one of our doctors if you want a personalized treatment plan and if you want something specifically to you. But the general advice is you can try out an antihistamine. And what an antihistamine does is it just tries to cover up the symptoms. So let's say you go out and you have bad pollen allergies, but it's only 1 or 2 weeks out of the year. You might be okay saying, hey, I'm going to take a Benadryl, I'm going to take a Claritin, um, and it'll cover up my symptoms. It's not going to fix the underlying cause, but since it's so temporary, I'm not too worried. Now, if you have more severe allergies, if you find that you have allergies for 4 or 5 months out of the year, like I did myself, that's when you try and go see an allergist. But it can be so difficult to kind of manage the healthcare system, to go see your primary care doctor and get a referral. You can cut that line and see an allergist within 48 hours with Wyndly. And that's what we do at my company, right? You can come to us. We're going to get you in front of an allergist, one of our allergists within a few days. And then we're going to get you on this immunotherapy treatment, which will change how your body reacts to these allergy triggers. And within a few weeks, you should be able to start detecting change and say, oh, wow, I'm a lot less allergic to the pollen, to the cats, to the dust than I was before.
That's actually really interesting that you brought up the antihistamines like Claritin and whatnot, and talked about how they were only temporary. I personally suffer with more of that long-term pollen allergy over those 4 to 5 month periods. But all this time, I was taught that things like Claritin, Zyrtec, and Flonase were for those long-term things. So I feel like that's somewhat of a disconnect right now in terms of what people know and educational things when it comes to pollen allergies. So with that being said, I just want to talk. Yeah, I know you briefly talked about it earlier in terms of Winley's approach and how it's a bit difficult, or about how it's a bit different from the traditional going to an allergist and how it's a bit more streamlined within 48 hours. But what else does Winley do uniquely that sets it apart from the competition?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the way I got into this is I had horrible allergies, right? Like I just could not breathe for 11 months out of the year. The only time I had any respite was when it was literally December and I just didn't go outside because it was too cold. So when I finally tried to fix this issue, because I tried everything, I tried multiple antihistamines, I tried the nasal sprays, I'd done everything. When I finally tried and fixed the issue, it took me months to even get in to see an allergist. And then they wanted me to come in every week for their immunotherapy. And it's just not convenient enough, right? Like every week, and they wanted it for 5 years, it's just too long.
Yeah,
So I tried and find a solution. And what I really discovered is other doctors that aren't allergists actually do this treatment. They're called ENTs. They are really focused on making sure that you can breathe well and you can get air through your nose into your nose and throat ducts. And they will, since just of how the healthcare system is set up, um, they prefer, for a variety of reasons, to do what's known as allergy immunotherapy drops, and they'll let you do it from home.
okay.
And so I found an ENT. He treated me. He fixed my allergies. Then I had him treat my wife. He fixed her allergies. I had him treat my sister in law. He fixed her allergies. That's 3 for 3. I've convinced my family. And now it was just time to say, like, well, how many people really want this? So
Yeah.
we actually started just answering questions on YouTube and TikTok, and we were getting hundreds of thousands of views. And now we're doing actually millions of views per month. And what we really discovered is there are a lot of people who aren't getting the relief they deserve with just antihistamines and with just nasal sprays, and they are looking for a different solution. So we're that solution, right? You can come to us and we have built the best healthcare experience possible. Not only will you get your treatment, but if you want to talk to your doctor, you can just text them. You don't have to like sit on a Zoom call, or you don't have to wait to schedule. We can text us. And if you do want to talk to your doctor, we're able to get that set up for you within a day or two. There's no waiting. We're really trying to build the best healthcare experience, the way healthcare should be, instead of the way healthcare is. And I think if you want to work with the best people, I think when it comes to your healthcare, it's all about trust. You
Absolutely.
want to trust the people who are out there who are saying, hey, I've gone through it before. This is what I think I deserve, and this is what I'm trying to give to you.
Okay. So that okay, that first of all, that's excellent. I really should try some immunotherapy, look into Winley. But I just want to understand a little bit more. When you guys talk about that personalized treatment plan once you're connected with an immunologist, what exactly does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we would do is we would do an allergy test for you. So we have an at-home allergy test that looks like this.
Mhm.
We mail that to you. You take it and then you mail it back to our lab and we get the results, right? So that's the first thing. So now we know exactly what you're allergic to. So for me, I was able to identify about 35 specific species of pollens that really triggered my allergies.
Mhm.
Now, from those species, we're able to prescribe a mix of uh, basically the allergens, and then and then I was able to, sorry, I apologize.
Mhm.
From that allergy test result, the doctor is able to prescribe exactly what you need to fix your allergies. So specifically for you, Siddha, if it said you're allergic to Texas pollen and you're allergic to cedar trees and you're allergic to, I don't know, ragweed,
Mhm.
then that doctor would write you a prescription that says, put this exact ingredients inside of his immunotherapy. Then we're going to mail your immunotherapy in a little thing like this. When you open it up, it is a little bottle similar to this. And then you're just going to take it underneath your tongue every single day, like that.
Okay.
And you're going to notice over time that your allergy symptoms are effectively going to disappear. And if you don't see that, you just send us a text message and we'll either adjust your treatment or we'll get you another visit with the doctor. Dude, we believe in this treatment so much that we offer a money back guarantee. So it's going to work.
Okay. So, with that being said, what does the future look like for Winley in terms of advancements and specifically the fight against pollen allergies?
Yeah, I think for pollen allergies, we found that like with Wyndly, you can basically eliminate it, right?
Okay.
So I think, you know, unfortunately, pollen is here to stay.
Mhm.
People like trees, they like plants, they like lawns. And like I mentioned earlier, with longer growing seasons, with longer, warmer seasons, there's just going to be more pollen in the air. Now, there are some ways that you can ameliorate that. You could plant around your home shrubbery and trees that maybe you specifically aren't allergic to. But unfortunately, uh, we live in larger environments than just those around our home.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. Look, we're seeing that millions of people want this and millions of people are coming to us and saying, hey, I want to be on this treatment and I want you to fix my allergies. And once we fix them, they turn around and they tell their friends and family
Mhm.
because I mean, right? Like if you've suffered. And then and then you tell people like, hey, I don't have allergies anymore. And it's incredible.
Yeah. So with that being said, I know you talked briefly about like how it's not gonna go away because we're shifting more towards lawns and trees, and the population's just growing in general, and with these larger growing seasons. But I was just wondering, since I'm obviously not an expert, and you have a bit more experience, a lot more experience in terms of allergies and dealing with stuff like these. So I was wondering, what are some environmental factors that we can try to look at to mitigate our pollen allergies?
Yeah. So I mean, environmentally, I think the biggest one would be like just don't plant the trees that like cause the most allergies,
Mhm.
right? um so a lot of time it depends on like where you are specifically, right? But Texas is particularly known for cedar fever. So
Yeah.
maybe don't, if you like, this is kind of on an individual level, but like if you have the ability, maybe you don't plant, when you're moving into a house, you don't plant like 5 more cedar trees outside if you know that you're allergic to them, right? You're just kind of managing that space yourself. On a grander level, I do think that cities and kind of landscapers can implement strategies to say like, okay, well, if we know that so much of our city is allergic, like has problems with cedar, we're just not going to plant new cedar trees uh, on any new developments. And then
Uh,
that is a way where you can like very aggressively kind of start curbing this sort of this sort of invasion of pollen, so to speak. But what's tricky is like you could do that in one city, and then if the city next door doesn't do it, the pollen will just float into the air.
yeah.
And unfortunately, you can't put up walls to keep the air out.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I've heard a term being thrown around online called botanical sexism, where there's like this urban planning shift towards planting more male trees because they're just easier to manage and whatnot. Now, obviously, I don't know the specifics and I don't know what the pros and cons and drawbacks are to planting male versus female trees are, but would it be worth considering for cities to try to shift towards female trees?
Yeah, so I think this is a decision. Right. So this botanical sexism, the idea basically is that we have, especially in cities where it's a more manicured or manufactured environment, we have put down more male trees and those male trees produce more pollen. I think that's fair. And it is fair to say, like, look, if you have 100 male trees versus 100 female trees, the male trees should, on average, produce more pollen. What's difficult for a city is, those cities made that decision in the first place, right? They made the decision to say, hey, we might save on labor or we might save on this. So I think what we end up seeing is, we kind of have to question the decisions that go into the reasonings that go into making a decision to say like, hey, why do we want more male trees? Um, maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe fruit, like maybe we don't want the fruiting bodies that are created by female plants. Maybe we don't want other side effects. So, I'm an expert on treating allergies. I'm not an expert on urban planning.
Uh-huh.
Um, but as far as I understand, that is the kind of reasoning that goes into it. And then also on the flip side, it's hard to unplant trees,
Yeah.
right? Unless I don't think anyone is advocating for the removal of trees that have been there that provide shade and all sorts of other benefits. Um, that's why I think the best case is just to like manage your own environment, like manage the environment that you are in the most, and
Mhm.
that is where you'll get the most benefit.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, you talked about the individual level. I was just wondering if you had any other key messages to people in general, our audience, in terms of the importance of addressing pollen allergies at their source or at the local level.
Yeah, I would say, look, if your allergies are so bad that you're thinking about them every single day, it's probably worth trying to fix it. Keep taking your antihistamines, but go and see a doctor. This is a fixable issue.
Mhm.
In 50 years, people just aren't going to have pollen allergies anymore because we're going to be treating children with immunotherapy the same way everyone gets brace. Many people get braces nowadays,
Yeah.
right? So it's just going to be something that we're just going to treat at its source and say, cool, we're going to treat you with immunotherapy. You're not going to have any allergies for a few decades afterwards. Um, and I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I understand that it can be difficult to seek out that sort of healthcare. And that's why we've made Wyndly so that you can get that healthcare, you can get that treatment without having to navigate the frustrations of the American healthcare system.
Mhm.
Even if you don't want to start with us, uh, pollen management is certainly a thing. You can buy an air freshener or air filters. Sorry, you can like filter your air with an air filter, and wear a mask if it's really bad outside, and just use a pollen tracker app to just say like, oh, it's really horrible. I don't want to deal with it. Um, and I would say that's the best approach.
Okay. And then one final question before we finish our interview. Where can our audience find more information about Winley and how to get started with your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find Wyndly online. It's wyndy.com. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you look. And it's very easy. You can start just by purchasing an allergy test or purchasing an allergy visit to see one of our doctors. It's right there. And if there's any questions, you can email us directly also, or just message us on Facebook.
All right. Thank you so much, Akash. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our audience today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.